NATO aircraft are continuing to track Russian strategic bombers flying over the Atlantic and Black Sea and sorties of Russian fighters over the Baltics in what the 28-nation security bloc described as an unusual burst of activity at a tense time in East-West relations following Russia's annexation of Crimea and invasion of eastern Ukraine. In the largest sortie, 4 Tupolev Tu-95 strategic bombers, Russia's equivalent of the US B-52 nuclear bomber, flew out over the Norwegian Sea, accompanied by 4 refueling tanker aircraft. NATO aircraft have stepped up patrols over the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, and Sweden and Norway, who are reportedly considering NATO membership in the light of this year's war in eastern Ukraine, also scrambled jets to see off the Russian threat. Britain's Royal Air Force also intercepted a bomber approaching British airspace on Saturday. NATO claims to have intercepted Russian aircraft more than 100 times so far this year, 3 times more than last year. The Russian army have staged another training drill in the Rostov region near the border with Ukraine. Russia's armed forces have carried out regular exercises along the Ukrainian border in recent months, since Kremlin-backed militants seized pockets of Ukraine's eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk and pledged to seek union with Russia. The international community has blamed Russia for orchestrating the insurgency and imposed sanctions against Moscow for its invasion and annexation of parts of Ukraine. Russia, which annexed Crimea from Ukraine in March, denies playing any role in the conflict, despite a growing body of evidence from NATO that shows direct involvement. Almost 4,000 people have been killed in eastern Ukraine since April.
More evidence of Russian military equipment has been seen in eastern Ukraine. A journalist for the UK's Telegraph newspaper posted on Twitter that he saw 62 green Kamaz military trucks without license plates, along with 3 Grad rocket launchers and 2 anti-aircraft flak guns. He also wrote that the column was headed for the Kremlin-backed insurgent stronghold of Donetsk. Journalist Christopher Miller, who writes for BuzzFeed, posted, "Today's massive column of military vehicles near Donetsk is the 3rd this week, all with Grad rocket launchers, artillery, and scores of Kamaz military trucks without license plates." Separately, this video was uploaded to YouTube on the same day, November 1st, which appears to show a column identical to the one the international journalists were describing. Also on November 1st, these photos circulated widely on social media, which appear to show Russian tanks and Grad rocket launchers on parade in the center of Luhansk, another eastern Ukrainian city overrun by Russian-backed insurgents. Ukraine Security Service, the SBU, has warned that serious provocations are being prepared that can be then blamed on the Ukrainian authorities. Russia has for months denied sending military equipment and troops to Ukraine, but the Kremlin's increasingly flimsy denials are beginning to unravel as a mountain of evidence begins to tear down Russia's steadfast policy of plausible deniability.
A-list Russian actor Mikhail Poroshenkov has sparked outrage by firing on Ukrainian positions whilst visiting Kremlin-backed insurgents in East Ukraine. Poroshenkov has been widely condemned for the stunt, not least because the actor was wearing distinctive non-combatant press clothing whilst shooting at Ukrainian forces. In a video uploaded by insurgents, the Russian actor is seen shooting an automatic weapon towards Donetsk International Airport, which is held by Ukrainian forces. He then addresses the camera, telling his audience that the purpose of the trip is to demonstrate how much support there is in Russia for the anti-Ukrainian insurgency.
Перемирие. Нормальное впечатление. Рабочее. Главное не сдаваться, нет. Вот и все.
Вспоминаешь съемки военных фильмов?
Я за вас. Приехали поддержать. Чтобы знали, что там много людей с вами.
OSCE officials slammed the star's behavior as a disgraceful and dangerous abuse of press insignia. The head of the Moscow Journalism Union said the actor would have blood on his hands if Russian journalists are killed as a result of Porochenkov's abuse of press neutrality. Other critics claimed that the star's actions had undone years of international efforts to protect journalists in war zones. Ukrainian Minister of Internal Affairs Arsen Avakov took his condemnation one step further, opening a criminal case against the A-list Russian actor for his participation in hostilities in East Ukraine. If convicted, he could face up to 12 years in prison.
With Ukrainians living in the occupied parts of the Donbass voting in insurgent-run elections on Sunday, major flaws in the ballot have been exposed. The illegal election, unrecognized by Ukraine and the international community, has an e-voting system which can easily be defrauded by using false data, according to reports on social media. Despite the Donbass vote taking place under the barrel of a gun, Russia has confirmed it will recognize the result, undermining the Minsk ceasefire deal agreed with Ukraine back in September. When elections for the Ukrainian parliament were being held last weekend, Russian-backed militants in the Donbass threatened to shoot citizens attempting to cross the makeshift border to vote.
Едут валом.
Еще один град. Ты так заметь, грады как все поломанные, они все на тягаче ведут. Они не самостоятельно. Ля, бабулечка стоит, вообще руки развела. Текай быстрее! Чего я дура сразу не начала снимать с самого начала, а так только с серединочки.
Проспект Ильича, 01.11.14. Время 16:34 по донецкому времени.
ДНР московскому. Стандартная ситуация, ну, военная техника.
Штук 60 единиц где-то мы насчитали.
Больше 47 это точно. Еще один град.